Hey guys, my name's RC and in today's video, we are gonna go over the best Azami Kiba barrier spots and setups for Oregon, Cafe, Clubhouse, and Coastline. If you are only interested in one map in particular, I have put timestamps in the description, so feel free to fast forward. Starting off with Oregon, in Attic, place a Kiba barrier on this electrical box. This Kiba barrier will block the line of sight to the rotate, and the only way they can get an angle is by going prone right here like this, and if they do decide to step down into the pit, their legs will be exposed, making them a very easy target. This is a very strong Kiba barrier in my opinion, and I highly recommend you try this out in your next ranked game on Oregon. When making the usual head holes in the attic wall, I highly recommend that you place a Kiba barrier on the wall like this for a little bit extra protection. This will enable you to crouch for cover without the risk of getting wallbanged. This is not anything too fancy or complicated, but it can be very effective for when you're holding down master bedroom and trophy. A lot of players like to place a deployable shield right here next to the kid's door, but if your team did an oopsie and forgot to bring one into the round, you can place a Kiba barrier right here on the door as an alternative. Of course, you will not be able to see through it like a deployable shield, but you can play around it and hold trophy door perfectly fine. For some extra cover from the double window, line up your crosshair with the edge of this lamp right here, move your crosshair to the left to the bed frame and throw. This Kiba barrier will provide you with some cover from the double window as you are walking up the white stairs, and it will also give you enough cover to peek and hold the trophy door as well. If you want to be a little bit extra cheeky when holding the trophy door, place a second Kiba barrier a bit to the left of the screw on the bed frame like this, and this will give you a very small window to shoot at the enemies coming through the trophy door, but from their perspective, it will be very difficult to shoot back in the heat of the moment. On the tower stairs, place a Kiba barrier on this wooden beam like this, and then place a second Kiba barrier right here. What this will do is it will block the line of sight of the attackers pushing down the stairs and force them to crouch to get through, which will slow them down significantly. More importantly, it also functions as a one-way where you can see their feet, but they can't see you. This is especially effective if you open up this wall on sight and hold the angle from here. This will make it extremely difficult for any attacker to push down these stairs without wasting any utility, and if they do, you will be able to hear it. If you want, you can also place this Kiba barrier for some extra protection from wallbangs, but it's not necessary. When defending downstairs, a lot of players like to make head holes on the freezer wall, and if you would like, you can place a Kiba barrier on it like this for some extra safety. It's nothing too fancy or complicated, but it will enable you to crouch behind the wall without getting shot, and it can be nice to have in the middle of a gunfight. In freezer, place a Kiba barrier on this box like this. This will give you protection for when you are entering freezer through the door in case anyone has already pushed up, and you can also use this with the head holes on the wall as sort of a second angle mid gunfight to catch the enemy by surprise. Just like the one upstairs in the kid's door, if your teammates forget to bring a deployable shield, you can place a Kiba barrier here to hold the blue bunker. It is a good idea to bring a Jaeger and have him place some ADSs on the wall on the right to help protect anyone who's playing behind this Kiba barrier from nades, but overall it works as a regular deployable shield. Moving on to Cafe, I would highly recommend blocking the line of sight from the skylight to freezer. To do this, place two Kiba barriers here and here. These will make it much safer for you to play from inside freezer, and you won't have to worry about someone potentially camping the skylight as they won't be able to see the doorway at all. For the next one, place a Kiba barrier right here a little bit above this thingy on the cabinet in the cigar shop, and then place a second Kiba barrier right next to it like this. This will give you a very cheeky one-way from piano to anyone who has pushed the red stairs doorway or has dropped on the new balcony, because they can't see you, but you can see their feet. If you want to hold piano from pixel, place a Kiba barrier on this little gold strip on the ledge on stage like this, and then place another one right here on the minibar. These two Kiba barriers will give you cover from the stage window as well as the minibar window, blocking the line of sight of the attackers who are repelling, allowing you to play in pixel much safer. If you want, you can also place another Kiba barrier on this bench in the white hallway right here to give you some extra cover from anyone coming up the white stairs, as well as some extra safety when you are coming out of the pixel doorway. And now I will show you a really effective setup to hold bakery for when you're defending the kitchen bomb site. First, make a standing rotate on the bakery wall. Then, place your first Kiba barrier on the counter in the corner right here. This will give you cover from the double door, which will enable you to play from behind the counter safer. It is also really important to reinforce the single wall to small bakery, otherwise they will be able to get an angle or wall bang you from the small bakery window. So reinforce this wall to force the attackers to waste utility if they want to get the line of sight. Throw the second and third Kiba barriers in this corner of the fallen over cabinet right here and on the bottom of the counter on the left like this. These will give you even more cover from the double door and will provide you with more possible angles, which will enable you to better challenge anyone walking in. Next, you need to reinforce the right wall in prep, make head holes on the left wall, and then place your fourth Kiba barrier right here so you can play behind the wall without getting wall banged. And then throw your final Kiba barrier on this ledge by the prep door. These two Kiba barriers will allow either you or a teammate to hold bakery from prep, and with some Jaeger ADSs, these are some very strong positions to hold. If you are playing behind the bakery counter and the pressure gets too much, or you feel like you need to fall back, you can use the rotate we made earlier to go back to site safely and reinforce the rotate. If you didn't like that setup or you want to switch it up, you can place your Kiba barriers in the bomb site itself. Place two here and here to block the line of sight from the bakery breach to the double door, and your third one right here on this trolley to again block the line of sight from the breach and gives you some cover to play behind. These three Kiba barriers will make it much harder for the attackers to get an angle on you, and you will become much more unpredictable when peeking. To hold down prep, throw a Kiba barrier right here underneath the window. This will give you enough cover to crouch behind the window, making it much easier to hold, and if done properly, you will also have these two little angles on the left and the right to help you get some free picks. Moving over onto Clubhouse, in rafters, place a Kiba barrier on the right side of these little gaps here, here, and here. This will give you cover to play on rafters a lot safer, and you also have a very cheeky angle on the bottom left of these Kiba barriers, which can help you land a free pick, and it is extremely difficult for the attackers to challenge you. The only realistic way the attackers can clear it is by using utility, like for example a nade or a capital firebolt, so it is a very good idea to bring a Jaeger into the round and have him place some ADSs on the rafters for some more safety. You can also throw a Kiba barrier right here by the wall where people like to make head holes. This will not only give you cover from the breach when playing rafters, but you can also hold the breach because you can crouch behind the wall without getting wall banged, and you can also maybe peek into cache should you need to. Speaking of cache, you can place a Kiba barrier right here on the table to block the line of sight from top red to construction to help defenders rotate a bit safer. Additionally, you can also place another Kiba barrier right here on the bottom of this cabinet, and this will just give you some more cover to play around when you are trying to hold the construction door, and it makes you a little bit more unpredictable when peeking. And just like I showed you on Oregon, once again, if your team forgets to bring along a deployable shield, for a good alternative, place a Kiba barrier right here on this wall. It won't be as effective as a deployable shield, but it will work perfectly fine. When you are playing downstairs, it is very important for the attackers to open up the kitchen hatch so they can get a line of sight on you. So to help limit that a bit, place a Kiba barrier right here and the second one right here. These will block some of the line of sight from the hatch, allowing defenders to play around the AK case area without the threat from the hatch. In church, break these two chairs and place a Kiba barrier on the table like this. This will block the line of sight from the blue rotate that players tend to make on this wall here to the moto door, allowing defenders to walk in and out of that rotate without having to worry about the attackers in that doorway getting an angle on them. Anytime you bring an Azami here, I highly recommend that you use this spot. Another Kiba barrier that will work well with that one is right here at the bottom of this generator. This will function as a deployable shield to help you contest anyone coming from oil pit a lot safer. While playing here, just be very careful from the hatch and the blue stairs. And finally, moving over onto Coastline, in hookah, place a Kiba barrier right here. This will block the line of sight from the window, making it much safer to rotate in and out. Then, place your second Kiba barrier on the pool table like this, which will block the line of sight to the rotate from anyone playing in Aqua. And finally, place a third Kiba barrier on the side of the pool table, and this will once again block line of sight all the way from ruins to the pink bar. In VIP, place 2 Kiba barriers right here and right here on these bookshelves. These will block the little gaps on the shelves and they will give you some additional cover to hold down the breach as well as the Hall of Fame door. In Penthouse, place a Kiba barrier on the bomb chassis right here and then break this little table and place another one in the corner of this half wall like this. These will provide defenders with a lot of cover from the double window, essentially cutting the bomb site in half, giving you a ton more space to play with without having to worry about getting shot from someone repelling from the window. In Sunrise, place a Kiba barrier on top of this doorway like this. This will block the line of sight from outside to behind the Sunrise bar, and anyone who approaches this door will have their lower body exposed first without them being able to see you. This is a very powerful spot and I would highly recommend you try this one out in your next game. In Service Entrance, place a Kiba barrier on this window by this fire extinguisher to hide the line of sight from the Service Entrance door to the kitchen doorway. Once again, for a deployable shield alternative, you can place a Kiba barrier at the bottom of this bomb chassis and this will act as the deployable shield that players like to place here to help you hold and challenge anyone coming from the Service Entrance doorway. In Kitchen, place one on the bomb chassis like this and then place another on the shelves over here. These Kiba barriers will do two things. First, they provide you with some extra cover to hold and contest anyone coming from the kitchen window, and second, they also provide you with some cover to the Surface Entrance rotate from the kitchen door, which makes a huge difference for your anchors on site. If you are bringing an Azami to this objective, I highly recommend you try this one out. In the blue bar, you can place a Kiba barrier in this little corner right here, which will block the line of sight from the window, allowing you to walk in from the doorway or hold office without any risk. That is all I have for you today. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will catch you on the next one.